Come on, what the heck? Where's my uh man? Don't you just love this stuff? Okay, hold on. Somehow or another, I just located my chat room. I'm on a roll.
Whoa, what in the hell?
Okay, we are live. Welcome to Ghost PM. I am your host, Roger Belt, and we have our farewell to thee show tonight. We're doing our round table, and Mr. Frank Lee's having a problem getting in here, but we have Denise Pridemore with us, and Rocci Stucci is with us.
Yo, how you doing?
And Haunted Salem, Miss Christina Corsetti is with us.
Hello, everybody.
And I hope y'all are hearing me. My player's sitting over here just doing that little round and round and round spinning thing in the middle, but it's paused, so it shouldn't be. If y'all hear us in chat over there, give me a shout out in the chat room there. Okay. Hello, can you hear me now? Good. Okay, anyway, I'm sure they do, but I will. John said, hey. Anyway, this is kind of open forum, so anything you guys and ladies would like to talk about, let's just fire it up. Somebody say something. Get it rolling.
All right, well, you know what? I just got confirmation. I just turned on the YouTube, and you're coming through perfect, brother. So, I want to start something. Did you guys ever talk about paranormal TV on this program?
We talk about everything, and there's Frank calling again. Now, how do I...
Okay, so let me get everybody's opinion on what they think about Ghost Brothers.
I love it. I love it. I think it's great. It's fun.
I've never seen it.
What Ghost Brothers?
Ghost Bro. You never seen it, Denise?
Oh, I've seen it. I love it.
Ghost Labs?
I started watching it a couple times last season, and I saw their newest episode. I think it was last night or Friday night. I got to tell you, I kind of like it. You talking
about Ghost Labs?
No, Ghost
Brothers.
Yep.
Ghost Brother. Oh, I don't know Ghost Brothers.
Yeah,
I know about it, but I've never watched it.
It kind of grew on me a little bit, but here's a frustration I have when it comes to paranormal TV. I get that we have an entertainment factor that networks are looking for. I'm totally fully aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you guys ever wonder though, because there's some really good stuff out there that can be done when it comes to locations. Do you think that would be too boring for the viewer if, let's just say, a TV program brought in a meteorologist and brought in sound engineers and did some real hardcore type of scientific work? Or do you think that good paranormal TV is people talking to blinking lights? That's what I was thinking when I was watching Ghost Brothers, because I enjoyed the program. I thought some of the stuff they got was really good. But do you think it would be too boring for people, the viewers, if paranormal TV was really in-depth type of science?
Well, I think that if paranormal TV, and it's supposed to be a reality show, right? But they don't stick to reality. So, I mean, if they would actually be a reality TV show, then yeah, and you'll notice a disclaimer, entertainment purposes only.
Right.
And rightfully so, because they don't stick to reality. And but it's what
Can't watch the shows.
it's what gets them the ratings. So they're going to do what they got to do to get the ratings.
Do you think it takes away from the? Do you think it takes away from the actual work being done in the paranormal communities? Though, do you think it
Exactly.
scientifically?
Exactly. That's my point.
Does that bother you? That I think that's what I'm getting at. Does that bother you when that happens like that?
Yeah, it does. And that's why I don't watch any of them. I don't watch none of those shows.
I don't either.
Because they don't stick to reality. They're going to do whatever the network tells them to do that's going to bring in the ratings. And, that to me is kind of like they're selling out their dignity, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Well, do you feel the same way about Dead Files?
Now, that one, I've actually watched a little bit of that one, and honestly, I think they stick a little bit more with reality than any of the rest of them. And even with that being said, I don't watch any of them because in the back of my head, I'm seeing ratings here.
Well, what's really good. Here's the thing about Dead Files. Now, in order for you to like Dead Files, you have to completely believe in mediumship, or kind of skeptically believe, if that makes any sense. In mediumship, or being able to communicate with the afterlife, or have, having the gifts of what people have. You have Steve, who is he's an ex-New York City cop, and he does some amazing investigative work. I think a lot of investigative techniques he does should be done at just about every location that you're at. So again, it's kind of a catch-20. So you kind of have to believe in mediumship, but then you also have the hardcore, old school Italian investigative type of work, which I think in a way gives it some kind of credibility. But and if it is what it is, and I'm good friends with Steve, and I don't think Steve would BS anybody. I don't think that if Amy was pulling strings, and if she was secretly looking up information or background information before she went to location, I don't think Steve would be on the show. So I think there is some sense of credibility, but you need to understand Steve's character and know his standards. And if you knew Steve's character and knew Steve's standards, I think that creates a credibility towards Amy, in which I think it is. It's not as entertaining as, say, in watching Ghost Adventures, because there's the drama involved with Ghost Adventures.
Exactly.
But there's more factual type of investigative work, and then there's the really in-depth mediumship work, which I think, again, I believe in it, so I'm drawn to the show.
Yeah, I like it. I think that it's really good as far as presenting facts about locations. I'm really big on facts, way against anything that has to do with urban legend. And considering that the location that I represent is 99% urban legend, all I do is present facts to people and blow their urban legend out of the water. So for me, watching people blow that urban legend up just makes me smile really big. So,
well, here's something, and this is where I draw conflict too. Is when I go to a new location, you got to do your preliminary, you got to do a little bit of research. And here's my question to you guys: do you guys believe in doing the research before you go to a location, or do you guys believe in going to a location to see what you can find, to see if you can, without knowing anything, kind of like Dead Files, and then being able to validate something with the owners without not knowing anything? So what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer going to a location and do you guys prefer doing your research before you go to a location, or do you prefer to go to a location and then have your findings validated from the owners?
That kind of depends. In some places, if the people that's making the claims there, they don't know about deaths on the property or inside the building or what have you, if you can find that stuff out before you go, then you kind of have an idea who you're searching for. So it gives you a little, what you want to call it, head start when you're doing EVP and stuff like that, because you know who you're talking to, or you know who you think you're talking to anyway.
Right.
It gives you a little bit of a head start, is what I'm saying. Now, as far as doing like total research and finding out everything, you wouldn't have to do that. It's kind of a little bit better to have a little of the surprise factor. But knowing, of deaths on the property and maybe their names and give you something to go with, yeah, I could see that part of it. And then afterwards, if you get certain things that you don't know why, then you can research that and try to get some background on that. And that gives you a little bit more to give to your clients or yourself if there's no clients involved. So, yeah, kind of a little bit of both, I think. Yin and yang there.
Oh, you're my boy. Was that? Sorry, that was my phone.
Okay. Well, in my
love
case,
it.
I'm going to tell you, if I am going to a place that I'm going to go to a lot, or I think I'm going to go a lot, I want to go in the first time blind. I don't want to know anything. Like the first time we went to Malvern Manor, all these names came to me in the beginning. Before we went there, I sent them off to Josh Hurd. He's going, none of these names make any sense. The next time we went, I could validate every single name that had passed on this property through the research that I did, even though the research that they presented on a Paranormal Lockdown was not all inclusive. It didn't include all these other names. I mean, I'm talking 13 deaths,
Right.
And so, but the first time I went there, I had none of this. So when we went back in March, I was able to go into these rooms, talk to the actual spirits, get the information from them. It was a lot more informative to me the second time, but the first time, I'm just thinking, letting it all sink in and try to get as much as I can out of the place, because if I go in there going, this place is haunted, and I'm making things in my mind happen, or making me think that everything is paranormal when it's not, that's a whole different thing. So for me to go in there blind, it helps give me the feeling that it truly is haunted, that I am truly interacting with possible spirits. And so the second time I went, oh, it was great. We had all kinds of information. Of course, I got scratched within 5 minutes of walking in the place, but that was a whole other problem. But yeah, going in blind is sometimes is better in a public location than in a residential location. I think it makes a difference as to where you're investigating.
Yeah, I agree.
It does.
Frank, can you hear us there, buddy? I see his face in the window down there, but I'm not hearing nothing.
Frank, are you muted? Oh, he fell out.
He fell off. Anyway, yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
Well, and the reason I asked that, and I completely support your last statement, because when I was on the last program here, we talked a little bit about the Fernhill house, Roger, and it was one of those situations where I went in blind, and I went in blind purposely, and I don't know. You're right, because we do manifest things. We manifest what we want to hear sometimes. I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of times, what we do. And I purposely wanted to go in blind, and it was, I don't know, the reaction was different with me when I was able to go to the homeowner and sit down with her and present to her what I found, and for her to be able to validate something I didn't even know existed. I don't know. I don't know if it was just more personally rewarding to me, or if it was something more significant, because I don't know. And you know what, Roger, too, you're right, is that I think that there are times where you should, and there are times where you shouldn't. But it was definitely a lot. There was a lot of reward when I went into this location, and I was able to present things that I didn't know existed, or I was able to present names of people that I didn't know that were part of this location. And it almost, in a way, it felt more significant to me. It felt more, what's the word I'm looking for? It felt more. It really did feel rewarding. It felt like I actually got information without not knowing about it, and I was able to walk away with a different sense of accomplishment when I did it that way.
you feel like you're contributing more especially when you find something that nobody else has come across. So
Right.
at least that's how it's felt to me. When I come across something and I go, this came to me. Here's a quick story. We had this one group that was coming to the Sally house, and I always get something before we go to a location. Always comes to me a couple days before, and they send me a message. I go, if you get anything, send us an email. Let us know what you get. And so I send them back. Wednesday night, I'm getting all this information. Thursday morning, I send them an email. I go, hey, I keep getting this word, Bex, B-E-X. I said, this thing kept laughing and saying Bex, Bex, B-E-X, kept laughing as loud as it could and wouldn't let me sleep. Finally, I told it to shut up, and I went to bed. Next morning, of course, I send him this, and he goes, well, what is it? I go, I don't know. I said, I'm not going to research it until after we go to the house. Maybe something will pop out. We're walking into the house, and they park in front of the house. I park across the street, and I walk behind their car. Okay, in Kansas, all license plates are on the back. Why did I walk behind the back of the car when I normally walk right to the sidewalk in front of the Sally house and right down the front steps? Don't know. His license plate said Bex, B-E-X.
I'll be darned.
And so the house knew that he was coming.
Mm.
And so if I didn't know his license plate number, I didn't know any of this stuff. So does that give me a little bit more validity? Because I told him on Thursday that this came to me on Wednesday, and here on Friday, I've got his license plate's the only thing I can find that says Bex.
Now, I have a question. Did anything particular happen to this person with the license plate while he was there?
Yeah, he got scratched.
Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. They were laughing and saying Bex.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let him come. We got something for him.
Yeah, and they ended up leaving early because the activity was so intense that they had to leave.
Mm.
And this was not their first time there. This was at least their second time there. So
well, apparently they must have taken something off the first time they was there.
Probably, but we were there with them in the beginning, so it's like, what's going to happen? It felt intense when we walked in the front door that day, though.
Yeah, it sounds like that was premeditated. They already planned something for him when he got there. They were just letting you know that they knew he was coming.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I always know, when something strange is going to happen at that house. So
let me ask, because I've had that before I've gone to a location where, whether it be a week before or whether it be a few weeks before, happen either at my house or I notice that are just not normal. And do you guys think that it's, in a way, spirit is connected with you, or somehow subconsciously your energy is already connected with the location that you're going to? Or do you think it could be a combination of both? What do you guys think on that?
What I've felt in the past is that it's reaching out to me. It knows I'm coming. Maybe one of my spirits went to that location, or something, some weird things happening that tells these spirits that I'm coming. My husband finds it odd that I will get up and tell him, these different things. I'll send emails out to the people that we're going to see and let them know this is what's come to me for validation. Okay. Just for validation. So it's in advance. I've already sent it off, and if it validates, great. If it doesn't, oh well, I don't know what it's from. But to me, I think there's some way that it knows that I'm coming. Is it always the case? Do I always get something before we go someplace? No. But when I do, it's usually pretty damn good.
Christina, what do you think?
Well, the way I see it is, if you have some sort of abilities, blind, for that validation and considering myself not having any, I go in with all the insight and all the education beforehand, especially in a residential versus an open to the public. But as far as EVPs, the spirits seem to know that my evidence reviewer is going to review the evidence, and they're always calling out his name in all my EVPs. So there is a way that they know that this person is going to be viewing that stuff because they keep calling his name out, asking where he is. You see what I mean?
Oh.
So I agree with what she was saying. You know what I mean?
See, this is all interesting. We have an investigation this coming Saturday where it's a 100-year-old building, or it's a house now, but it was built as a church. And of course, there's a cemetery across the road, and I'll get to that in a second. But the house is over 100 years old. There's been 2 deaths in it, and they were family members. The lady that called us, her great-grandfather built it. And she had an uncle and an aunt both pass away in the house. And she says that's where a lot of the activity takes place, is in the room that they passed in. So we kind of have a little heads up on what we're going into there. In the cemetery, she says on several occasions they hear a little girl giggling. Now that one,
What is it? Is it
yeah,
not a little girl? Is it really a little girl?
that's
You
what
know,
we're saying. We don't know.
no.
And chances are, because I had a friend that said, they got the impression that this is not a little girl, that this is something pretending to be a little girl to try to lure people into the cemetery, and that's possible.
That's very possible.
No, we don't know what we're going to run into exactly yet when it comes to that part of it. I'm not really worried about the house, but the cemetery, that one kind of is a little bit, like, what are we going to be dealing with when we get out there? There he is back. Can you hear us? Frank.
I hear noise.
Yeah, there was commotion.
I heard whispering.
And so did I. I was wondering if that was you guys. Did you guys hear that? That kind of tripped me out a little bit.
I heard that very clearly.
Frank just came back on, and I think it might be him. But anyway, yeah, I'm kind of a little bit on the, not really know what to expect with the cemetery part of this deal. Of course, we never do anything without, we do our protection prayers and all this stuff. And but you still,
I got something to throw at you, Roger.
Yes, sir.
So I was called by a guy here in my local neighborhood, and he had this belief that his apartment was haunted. Mind you, he had some issues going on in his life, and so I went to this location, and right away he was probably up for 2 or 3 days, and he brought me down to a bedroom, and he goes, "Well, this is where it's haunted. This is where my house is haunted." And I just looked at him, and curiously, I just asked him, "Why is it specifically haunted just here and nowhere else?" And he looks at me with these crazed eyes, and he said, "Because this is where my mom died." And I question this, is that lots of times, and I can't say it is or it isn't. These are just things that run through my mind, and I'm just speaking out loud right now. Is that is there something imprinted within the atmosphere in a location where somebody dies? But a lot of people believe that if somebody died at a specific location, then their spirit is there. Is it necessarily true that their spirit is there because they died there? Is it some kind of imprinted energy because that's where the soul left the body? Is this something of manifestation of our own thoughts just because somebody died at a location? Do you guys, what are your guys' belief system? When somebody tells you somebody died somewhere, do you believe that their soul could still be at that location because of that was their place of death?
I don't think, number one, that if that was his mom's house and she died in a specific spot in that house, she's not going to just stay in that spot. She's going to roam her house because it's hers.
Sure.
So you can't say, well, this only happens here because this is where she died at. You know, I don't think that's no. She would be
Well,
all
Roger,
over.
could it be how violently they died in that location?
That could leave a residue, like a residue.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's is what Rocky was saying. Kind of basically, can it? You know, can your soul, I guess, leave a residue? Yes, that could happen. Say you have a massive heart attack and you die in a certain spot, and you're going through like you can imagine the pain somebody's going through if they have a massive heart attack. So, yeah, I can see there being a residual thing left in that spot. Also, it depends on other factors, like, you know, what else is in that location, in that spot. That may be set over a big granite boulder or something. You know, anything that can cause a residual. Crystal, running water underneath that area, something like that. Anything to add to that. But I don't believe that just because somebody says, well, this is where my mother died, that she's going to stay in that spot unless it was a residual.
I have something to add to that. My father was murdered and some of you have heard this story before, and he's not there at the location where he was murdered. He comes here to my house. He goes to my mother's house but he did not stay where he was murdered, even though he did live in that house. He never stayed there. So, is that location haunted? It might be, but it's not haunted by my dad.
Right.
No. Even though I know that people will go, well, this guy was stabbed to death in this house. This house has got to be haunted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
by the way, I'm sorry to hear about your father.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It is almost, let's see, what is 42 years ago this year. So, you know, it is what it is, and it made me the person I am today. And he's proud of me, so that's all I care about.
Right. Frank, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Now I can. Had a few connection problems earlier, but I'm finally here.
Awesome. Okay.
Roger, I have a question.
Yeah.
Would suicides play a different aspect of that?
Man, I've always wondered about that. You know, does the spirit of a suicide victim act differently than someone who dies of natural cause?
Of course, being stuck in the location. Being stuck in the location.
If anybody was going to be stuck in a spot where they died, that would be one that I would think would.
Yeah.
Well, you know, on suicide, that's just something I would throw out there is I would think, regardless of whether there were an actual intelligent entity sticking around afterward, you would have to think of the emotional turmoil that a person in that state that brought them to that level of severity would go through.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether you had an active or an intelligent entity there would be quite a bit of residual energy left behind regardless.
I agree. But, you know, and another aspect that I look at is if, say you have an individual that hung himself in an upstairs bedroom, and that's where I kind of look at it like his spirit is basically still bound by that rope or whatever they use. You know, kind of holds in that spot, that area, you know, that spot.
Well, I will say that not all, you know, I know a lot of people, if they hear of a suicide or something, they're kind of leery of the location. There was a house I lived in for a couple of years that the original owner hung herself in the kitchen. Quietest place I've ever lived in as far as paranormal activity goes. Never had anything happen there. Never had any odd feelings or nothing. But had I not just known the history of the house from learning about it from the family, I wouldn't have ever known that it had happened there. So it's not it's for sure not a definitive rule, but there can be, I would think, a lot more levels of residual, and those kind of gets into that whole poltergeist and place memory type scenario, I would think.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think a suicide victim is necessarily a residual.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like they're bound to that spot because that's where they took their life at. And like you said, the emotional turmoil that they were going through would hold them there. I would say. Now, I could be wrong, but
I would say that if suicide victims knew that they were going to be haunting the location where they killed themselves, I guarantee there'd be more suicides at the beach. I mean, think about it. Or if they knew that they were going to be bound to this earth after that, do you think they would commit suicide?
Yeah.
That's one of those things that you think about. Now, I lived in a suicide house. See, I mean, I've done everything. But this kid would come into my room and he'd say, "Mom," and as soon as I found out the history that this had happened, this was a long time ago. It was back before my fourth kid, and found out, talked to him, and he passed on. That was it. The people who live in that house now, they said they've never had any issues in that house.
well, now,
So,
and another aspect on the suicide thing that just occurred to me, what Limp Mansion, where the brother committed suicide or the son committed suicide because he didn't want to cross. Well, after he died, he killed himself. He didn't want to cross over because he knew his dad was waiting for him on the other side, and his dad was cruel. So I could.
yeah,
And
that's the one place I've never had anything.
You add into it the whole thing about how they preach on the whole suicide thing. You can't go to heaven if you take your own life, blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
So, yeah, they're going to think, well, after I'm dead, if my spirit's here, it's going to stay here. I ain't going over there.
But I'll tell you, I've never had any activity at Limp Mansion. We've been multiple times. Husband's from St. Louis. Never nothing. So I don't know if there's anything there. I mean, just because everybody else says there is, doesn't mean that I've experienced anything. I don't know about you guys, if any of you have been there. I know Frank traveled to Missouri just a few weeks ago and didn't even tell me. So, I have some mean things to say about you, Frank.
Well, Dad.
Yeah, she was because I had someone cancel on me. She said, "Wasn't Frank, was it?" I'm like, "Oh." Well, she was waiting for you, buddy.
I'll tell you, that trip was crazy. We literally did the Missouri State Penitentiary Friday night, and then we got up, left Jefferson City, Missouri, and traveled to Villisca, Iowa, to do the Villisca Axe Murder House Saturday night.
You went right by the Sally House.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about Sunday. By the time we came dragging in Sunday, we were just worthless. I mean, we had fun, but we were tired because we had to leave. We had to leave from the motel in Jefferson City, Missouri, in time to get to Villisca, Iowa, in time for to meet the caretaker there to check in and get the keys for the Axe Murder House, and that was definitely an adventure. Because
I bet it was.
Ground to cover, but it was well worth it. We got a lot of activity at those places.
I have stories about Villisca that you wouldn't believe. So.
Oh no! After investigating, I probably would.
We go up there all the time because my husband's family lives up there. So, and you know this, Frank, that Ron's great uncle was the sheriff in the investigation. And then there's a town over by us here, 17 miles away, where two people were axe murdered 4 days before the Villisca axe murders, and the house still stands. And so, if it ever goes up for sale, guess what I'm buying?
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you the woman that owns it, if
Martha?
I think that if the right offer came along, she might get rid of it.
Oh yeah. You do know that her husband bought that house without talking to her first.
Yeah, she was telling us how that played out, and all I can say is I hope they had a comfortable couch at the time.
Well, I'll tell you, I know that when I met Darwin, he said she was so pissed at him that she almost beat him with a frying pan. And, you know, now that he's gone, she tells everybody, he left this to me as my retirement plan. And she does not play any games about paying for the place or anything like that. You bring your cash, and that's it. She wants her cash. But, you know, she's a good woman. I like her, but she's just very, she's very Iowa. We'll just go with that. She's very Iowa.
No doubt. But you know, I will say this. You know, the theory has always been with a lot of people that, you know, the murders happened while everyone was asleep. After that investigation, I do not subscribe to that theory. I think that they were awake and that it was a very violent, just very, very horrific scene, and they were all awake to witness it.
You do know that the axe murder stopped when Henry Lee Moore went to the Missouri State Pen, sentenced for life for axe murdering his aunt and mother. But they all stopped after that?
I did not know that.
Yep. So, and the thing is he's the only one that had a similar background to where he would have been, he had the opportunity working for the railroad and stuff and all that other crap. And it's just weird that he happened to have the same last name as the Moore family.
Right.
So, but you know, all the research that I've done on that, I mean, on his deathbed, he claimed to have killed at least 25 people, including the Villisca people, the Paola people, and some other people. So did he do it? Well, in this day and age, we take deathbed confessions as real.
Right.
Why didn't they take his as real? They still want to claim that it's unsolved.
Why did the other guy, the preacher, claim that?
George Kelly.
You know, why did he?
He wanted the attention, it looked like, but did he do it? Don't know. But I know that he used to spend a lot of time in the bushes.
You know, yeah. If I was to go up here to my local police department, I'm sorry, and there was a murder that happened, and I went in there and said I did it. It wouldn't matter if I did it or not. They throw me so far into that gun prison, I'd never see daylight again. Well,
think about the John Benet Ramsey. This guy said he did it. They took him back. They did DNA and said he didn't do it. You know, so it's weird. I mean, how do you claim that you did it, go to court, and then they go, nah, you didn't do it. You know, I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. You know, 100 years ago, forensics was good, but you know, all those people tracing through the house, this teeny tiny house, didn't help.
The law enforcement's so happy to have somebody confess to it and everything and say we got our man. You know, they don't really want to research to find out if he did or he didn't.
No, they just want an end.
So why in certain cases would they go to that length?
I don't know.
That's kind of weird.
You know, we actually recorded screams, like residual screams there at the axe murder house. And, like we got one recording that we believe it was in the bedroom where the Stillinger girls were found, Lena and Anna, and we believe that it is Anna whispering to Lena, trying to get her attention, because it's just a very low whisper that says Lena, and then shortly afterward you hear screams start, and we got some things that seem to be intelligent too. There was a ball rolling by itself, stopped when I asked for it to stop, started when I asked for it to start. I walked in the house by myself, and there is a voice very, very clear. Definitely a Class A. Of a little girl that says, maybe they're ghost hunters.
Hey, Rocky, y'all need to get into this conversation.
Well, I'm going down to the Villisca in 3 weeks, and I was there about a year ago now, and I the place bothers me, and it bothers me because it's children, and it bothers me that if the children are still there, the whole spirit kid thing really bothers me, and I always wonder, I mean, I've shared stories with you, Roger. I've always wondered what more we could do as still living. But I have my doubts that sometimes that what's there is not even those children. I mean, with all the people that have been through the Villisca house, the amount of Ouija boards that the landlord has taken out of the Villisca house, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, honestly, and Frank, how you doing, brother?
Doing great.
I wouldn't even go upstairs by myself. Because
we talked about that.
Yeah, there's without a question in my mind, there's something there. It just bothers me. Anytime somebody calls me up and we talk about children, then I look at my own boys and then I start worrying about, boy, what if something tragically happened to them? And God, I would hate to even imagine the fact that they would still be stuck at this realm somewhere, And so now I'm drawn back to it. I'm drawn back to this, and it's selfish and it's personal. Is why I want to go back there, because I think I'm trying to just prove to myself that it's just really not those children there, and it's just something more malevolent that just keeps trying to draw people back there.
Well, now on that, can we say whoever and Denise brought up the axe murder stopped after this guy went to prison or whatever. If the person who did this has passed, and that's what they assume, that he's still there because he's passed and he's there.
Right.
But spirits can be malevolent, just like just like somebody would say a demon would be. Okay, they can be really negative. And what if he is using the vice of a child to draw people? You see what I'm saying?
So you can feed off of them.
I almost hope that's the case. You know what I mean? For somebody who's a murderer, I just, every part of my body just prays that they just burn and rot in hell. But when it comes to the cases of children, I hope that it's something that's just something, whatever you want to call it, that's portraying itself to be
right.
Something.
They're not really there.
And I've said this before too, and I know people when they go there. I've watched a lot of people go there. I watched a lot of their videos, and people are truly in their hearts compassionate about going to this location, and I respect the hell out of that. And sometimes I wonder if that's the targeted audience of what's there. People that go there because they truly care about these children, and they want to sit there and they want to play ball with them, and they want to talk to them and bring them toys. And sometimes these people go to these locations and they completely put their guard down. They forget that what the dangers that could lurk out there. And and I said this last time I was on, Roger. What I'd really like to know is people's stories after they left the Villisca house. I would love to hear the type of experiences people have had, whether good or bad. If they were followed, or things happened at their house for a little bit afterwards. I would really like to know that, because if that proves something, if people do have stories, if you can get all these people to tell you stories of certain things that have happened to them after they've gotten home from investigating the Villisca, then that could almost validate, as much as it can, that there's something there portraying itself to be something to look for a certain type of prey, and then it attaches to prey, and then kind of disrupts their life.
Absolutely. I can say that I haven't had anything adverse or negative happen with me, but then again, though, I think a lot of it is in mentality.
Well, Frank, I don't look at you as a type of bait, something that the Villisca would be looking for. You're too well versed within this field to where you would know, compared to somebody who's maybe done it a couple times. I mean, you would know if you got in your vehicle, started driving away, if something was there with you.
They're going to look for the thrill seekers that are coming in there that don't know what they're getting into.
Right. And that I really think that you're onto something there, Roger, because you know, like you said, when someone's going in, they're looking for a thrill. Well, they get it. It's all a rush, and it's excitement, and you know, with the excitement that overrides logic, reasoning, and everything else. And like Rocky was saying, that you know, they make themselves a target in that they
Exactly.
they don't have that experience, that level-headedness, or knowing to be apprehensive. And
Well, a lot of them will go in there and they don't know anything, and so they don't know that these spirits will manipulate you by using the child as a vice or something like that. So they're going to go in there. Oh, we're going to talk to these kids, and bam, there you go.
Yeah. I'll tell you, from my experience there, it feels like the children are there because they're stuck with their parents. Their parents never crossed, so maybe the kids are still there. I'll tell you, when I leave that place, I'm upset for 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, my husband will come and tell you that, damn it, we're going to go to Villisca. Denise is going to be upset for 2 weeks. And I think it's because I identify with the mother. She couldn't protect her kids and other things. One of the things that we had happen there last June, we're in the bedroom upstairs, the kids' room, and I've asked the kids what their favorite toys were. And one of them came to me and said, this toy, it was a doll. And another one said it was the ball. And through the echo box, it's going, monkey. It's just yelling out monkey every time I turn around. It's like, I'm looking through this room, there's no damn monkey. I open up the attic door, and guess what's in there? A monkey.
Wow.
So I go downstairs and out the door, and I go to Johnny Hauser, and I go, Johnny, the kids want the monkey, go get it out of the attic. So he went in the house, and he got the monkey and put it in there, and everything was fine. But does that mean that there's really children there? No, but that's how it feels to me when I'm there. My daughter has seen a full body apparition walk from the parents' bedroom into the attic, walk right by her, to where she could reach out and touch it. And my other daughter has heard things down in Lena and Ina's room. It is amazing the things that happen at that house, that you pray that the children have passed on.
Right.
But if they haven't, is it because their parents are still there? Is it because something else is holding the parents there so the kids won't go? Is there a spirit there that's holding them there? Or was it just the violent way they died? There's really probably not something bad there, because why would he be there if he killed 25 other people in 14 different locations? Is he rotating at all these other locations? I don't know. So, but those are other things to think about.
well, I know one EVP that I got when we were there was you hear very clearly a raspy male voice saying the name Sarah, as if you were calling out to her, trying to get her attention. And of course,
Well, maybe it was her husband.
Right, absolutely, and like, hey, someone's here. And also another experience that I had while I was there. I was out at the barn. Everyone else was in the house, and it was almost dark. And if you've investigated there, you know that from when you're at the barn coming up the front, you can see through the window of the door going into the kitchen. Mm-hmm. You can see also across to the window shade on the other side of the kitchen, and it kind of gives a contrast. Well, I saw a woman go across there. I could just see her silhouette because the shades were down, but it was clear enough that I could see it was it was a woman about maybe 5'3", 5'4", slim, hair pulled back, kind of low, and that didn't match anyone that was with us, this profile. Right at the same time that I saw that, one of the trap cams that were set up in the kitchen got flipped around facing the wall. And later on, I was in there by myself again, and I said, who moved this camera around? And we got a recording of a female saying, it was me.
as you can see, I'm not shocked at all. I've seen so many things there. I mean, I've just been on day tours, you know, go in on during the day at 1 o'clock and stay until they kick us out. And we've had all kinds of activity just during the day in that house. So, not shocked at all.
Well, you know, a lot of people in the field, you know, I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying a lot of people think that it has to be dark outside in order for ghosts to come out. And some of the best action I've ever gotten, or best EVPs I've gotten, have been during the daytime.
Absolutely. Well, you know, that's an excellent point, Rocky. So, you know, something I was saying to someone just a couple of weeks ago was, you know, you go in these places and, like for instance, while we were in the Missouri State Penitentiary, we were able to sit there, all the lights on inside, and literally just watch shadows moving everywhere. And, you know, I was talking with them. I said, what if we had all the lights off in here?
Right. We
wouldn't see any of that. There could be an apparition, full body, 2 feet in front of you. You're not going to see it. And it's really all you're doing when you go in, wait till it's dark. And this is something else we talked about at the prison. It was kind of quiet as I got later into the night. I said, well, it's 3 hours past lockdown time. At this time, everyone would be in their cell unless there was something major going on. But if you came in at, say, 6 in the afternoon, everyone's coming in from their work day, going to dinner, things like that, then I imagine you'd get a lot more residual activity, a lot more.
I think the darkness just psychologically challenges you a lot more, especially when you're at a location that's visually troubling to look at. You talk about, you know, a penitentiary, you talk about a shut down insane asylum. You know, it's something that has the visual creepy factor in the middle of the night, and all you have is a little tiny flashlight. Psychologically, and you know, in a way, there's a part of my blood that's a thrill seeker. So there's part of me that you know, it's not disrespecting the location, but I don't mind the challenge. But you know, over the years of investigating, I've learned a little humility too, and I don't mind some lights on just in case I need to hoof out. You know what I mean? I have no problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That, you know, turning all the lights off and everything. I mean, it's a safety concern, really. And you know, how many shadows are you missing? How many apparitions?
Right.
What's moving that you can't see?
Now, let me ask you something, Frank. Frank's my tech guy here. Now, if you're using a camera with not just the IR, but the why is it slipping my mind? The full spectrum. Would that not pick up the shadows?
It could, but still, you're going to have the same as with any spotlight. Say, when the light passes past one object in the foreground, it's going to cast a shadow in the background. And so it can make it difficult at times to rule out, was that shadow caused by this object in the foreground, or was it legitimately an anomaly? And two, you get a lot more grainy images, and you know, plus if it's lighter in there, you don't have to use as many batteries per hour, so it saves you a few bucks on that.
Yeah, and the big thing there is that you have no road noise, you have no road lights, nothing that penetrates the wall, and plus you're over by the Missouri River. It's not like the barges are throwing off lights onto the shore. So if you're getting shadows, you're getting true shadows. And I know I'm going to guess that Maggie, you met Maggie and Thomas at the pen, and you know that anything you got was more than likely 100% accurate. I know that I saw a full body apparition on death row. He was pissed. He was telling me, they cleaned this place up. They took my stuff off the wall. I'm pissed. And he drugged me down there and said, look, this is gone, because what you missed was on death row. There used to be all this graffiti down there from the gangs. swastika in one, a St. Louis Cardinals logo in another, but it was for a gang. When they went and they removed all the mold, they also removed the lead paint and all the peeling paint down there. So you lost a lot of the feeling of it being as creepy as it truly is. You know, what really got them was when they told us that the inmates built the gas chamber. And I said, were the ones that were building it, were they the first ones you killed? And they got so mad at me because they said that was cruel and unusual punishment. And I was like, so? They're in prison. They did something bad. But you don't know, my company actually sponsored a lot of that cleanup. The company I work for. So
I'll tell you that, while I was there, I went in the gas chamber, closed myself up and all that, and sitting there by myself and did a EVP session. And I didn't really get anything in the EVP session. That is a creepy feeling when you're sitting in that gas chamber by yourself around midnight, and that inside that chamber, when that door is closed, your breathing echoes.
Did you actually get inside the gas chamber?
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, I would love to do that.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend it. It's of course, there's not really, other than maybe a little residual, you wouldn't really expect much, but as far as the creepiness thing, it's really cool.
Yeah, the last person put to death there, Tiny Mercer. He dated my daughter-in-law's mother. Yeah, it was the love of her life. I mean, think about that for a minute. She had no clue that this guy was a killer.
Well, now he'd be the love of her afterlife.
Oh, well, she's a little nuts, so it's quite possible. But, there's a lot of winners down there in Berryville, Arkansas. She's bound to find somebody to replace him.
Right. So, I'll tell you, I had something, a funny EVP that we got. And I put this up on our YouTube and on our Facebook. There's one point where I'm walking through what was the women's store, and clear as day, you hear this woman as I walk past one cell and you hear a hey, and then I walk past another cell and you hear this one clear as day go, hey, you miss me? Like this, really flirty way. And when I was showing everyone, they were teasing me about getting catcalled at the prison. And, so the only thing I can think of is, well, okay, true, getting catcalled at the prison is kind of bad, but at least it was a female voice, and at least it wasn't a women's storm, because that could have been a whole lot worse.
Oh, yeah. I've had so many strange things happen there, and we're talking about going back June or July. Because, I got to go back when it's 110 at 9 o'clock at night,
Right.
I mean, I'm serious. It seems to be the case for us every single time we go.
That's how it was at Waverly Hills when I was there. I mean, it was like 120 degrees at night in that place, and you're sitting there with sweat just pouring off of you, and you're going, is anybody here?
Oh, yeah, all that stone and concrete heats up, and it doesn't cool down just because it gets dark.
And this is what, if you know the layout of that place, they got the whole open area, where they would take them outside, and it was all, well, the doors are all torn off these rooms now, so this was all wide open, and all the humidity was just seeping in, and, it's like, oh, man. And I still say that was one of the investigations that really ticked me off the most, was being in that death tunnel and hearing them footsteps, and my recorder didn't record it. I was so mad. I was upset. I mean, you could hear it plain as day. Coming up from the bottom, you could hear that heel-to-toe footstep coming up.
Yeah.
And I had my recorder running, and it did not pick that up. And I'm like, I can't believe this. Because it picked up the other EVPs, when in the different areas, but it did not pick up that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if something's going to malfunction, it's definitely going to be when there's something cool like that happening. That's just Murphy's Law of Paranormal.
Yeah, because that would have been the best one of the whole night right there. The other ones were good, but that would have been awesome if I would have captured that.
Oh yeah. Always the best stuff happens when you're cleaning up or setting up.
Every time.
On the way to the car.
Yeah.
Now I was in the freezer in the morgue, and I asked if there was anybody with me, and I had a plain answer that said, "I'm with you." That was good, but the footsteps, I mean, they were so loud and plain. It was just like, and I'm like, you kidding me? It didn't pick that up.
Wow.
Rocky, get in here, young man.
Well, Roger, I got to. I have another appointment here in about 10 minutes, brother. So, you know what? I do appreciate this conversation, and you know what? I think that we should all come back on and do another conversation about this because I got questions, and I'd like to get Frank and Denise's opinion as well. Something we talked about last time, which is the Fernhill House. I want to talk about EVPs, yeah, because I know Frank, you said that when you went in the gas chamber, EVPs. And I've had situations where I didn't get any EVPs off my recorder, but I was getting EVPs through my camcorder.
Yeah.
And I think that is a great topic that I think a lot of people should talk about because just because you get something from one recorder doesn't mean that different recorders recording at some kind of different
frequency,
frequency, whatever. And it just blew my mind, and it was really weird because the EVPs I was getting through my video cam were so clear as if somebody was standing next to me compared to what I was getting on my recorder that I actually had to clean up a little bit just to try to decipher what it was saying. And lots of times if I need to sit there and clean something up and listen that much, I pretty much discredit it anyways. And I think that's a great conversation to have for definitely future shows.
I think it could also be different mics. That's one of the things. It focused on this mic. It could maybe it was just closer to that, so the other thing didn't pick it up.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, I love talking EVPs and audio. That's like, I love getting into that, so especially infrasound. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to get together and do this on the Paranormal Graveyard Show since this one's not going to be running after tonight. Everybody knows this is the farewell to leave for a while.
Wait, so it's the what?
This show here, this is the last show on Ghost to Ghost PM. So, but I still will be doing Paranormal Graveyard on Wednesday night. So,
gotcha.
Not completely gone, just having to back off a little bit. Too much work, and I've got a lot going on, and of course,
it's and and I know your listeners respect that, and I know Frank, you've been doing radio for a long time. But you know what? I do a live 2-hour program 2 days a week now. I was doing it 5 days a week, and I don't so much talk paranormal stuff. I talk more of current event type of political crap. And the amount of research it takes and the time it takes away from your family and thinking about show material and now I'm doing the video production, the audio production, and it's tough. And Roger, I for some reason I didn't know that this was your last Sunday night, and I probably saw it, but my brain is so jello lately. But it's tough, man, and to sit there and do this for the people, and I know that's why we do it. I mean, there's no huge financial rewards in what we do. We do it because there's passion. There's some kind of drive of trying to help educate people that are new in the field. It's funny too. I can always tell when somebody's new in the paranormal field on Facebook because they start giving everybody like explanation of EVPs and they start giving EMF meters and I've been there. I remember the days I was doing that. Well, I thought I was some EVP academic there for a while, and I was telling everybody all about it. And it's amazing how you grow in this field. And so, I mean, hats off to you, brother, because it's a tough gig doing radio. It's a tough gig doing what you're doing. And,
well,
and I
it got to be a little bit too much having to get guests for 2 shows. And, by the time you do all your info and research, and then you do your banners and your events and all this stuff, there's a lot involved in it.
Well, we got to live our life too, man. We got to live life too.
And of course, right now, all of a sudden, we've got like investigations back. So you know, we're going to be pretty busy anyway for a while. And the thing I enjoy is, you know, I love investigating, but I really love talking to other investigators. I mean, that's how me and Frank met up. And, you know, I mean, we've been pretty tight ever since. You know, we talk now and again on Skype and all that and carry on. And I've been on his shows. He's been on my shows. We've just done this forever.
Right.
And Denise was on my show. Me and her talked, you know, before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course now you and I have been on 2 different shows, Rocky, and you know, I love doing this. But I was getting a little overwhelmed, and I had to back off a little bit. You know.
Well, you know, they always say that it's not work if you love doing what you're doing, but I call bullshit on that because you know what? It still kicks your ass.
Yeah, it will. And of course,
Yep,
my
it does.
field's not as good as it once was, so I have a little trouble every now and then. And I've just kind of had to back up a little bit, you know.
You know, something that I've seen, and something that I've seen that, in a way, I'm kind of happy to see. I remember, I think I got involved in the field about 8 years ago, and when I got involved in the field 8 years ago, there was this huge rush. I think this was when first, you know, like the ghost hunters and paranormal ghost adventures, and kind of at the launch of those programs, to where half this country literally was a paranormal investigator. And, it was a mess, you know, and it actually deterred me from wanting to be in groups. That's why I'm still independent to this day. I'm not programmed for drama. It's just not in my blood. I don't have time for it. And
I agree.
you know, I'm starting to see the last couple of years that wave is starting to settle. And it's cool because I've seen Frank, I've seen you in the field for a long time. Roger, I've seen you in the field for a long time. Denise, this is our first time we've crossed paths. It's a pleasure to meet you. But it's nice to see that people that I've seen 5-6 years ago that were loyal to the paranormal field, it's still nice to see a good handful of those people still involved in it. Yeah, because, I mean, we're talking that many years of education that you can help bring these newer teams in and help, you know, teach them to steer away from the drama. And, you know, I was lucky because I had somebody reach their hand out to me, and it saved me from a lot of headache.
You know, and
you know,
one of the things that I like to tell everybody, you know, if you're going to get into this, you know, don't just run out there and buy you a camera and a recorder and go tromping off in somebody's house. You know.
Oh, why not?
right.
You know, and I tell them, you know, the best information I can give you if you want to get into this is go with somebody who's had, you know, a few years experience where you can learn the proper way to do things.
Right.
Not burn down somebody's house.
I just wish you knew the disappointed looks that I get from people when they ask me what the first thing that I recommend for them to buy for them to get started investigating is. And instead of some fancy camera, some gadget they've seen on TV, I tell them to buy a book.
A book.
I tell them to get How to Investigate the Paranormal or ESP Hauntings and Poltergeist by Lloyd Auerbach, and read that first.
Mm-hmm.
I said, after you have a basic understanding and you think that you're still interested in it, go out with, you know, find someone after you read the book. Go out with someone on an investigation.
Right.
And then when you understand it, if you're still interested at that point, then invest a little money in gear to
once you
capture ghosts
with somebody who learns the proper way of doing things, then if you want to strike out on your own, I'm happy for you and I'll help you every step of the way. But, you know, don't just run out there and that's what happened to that one mansion that got burned down. Them guys went in there claiming they were ghost hunters and burnt down a historical place, you know?
But yeah, they just look all disappointed when you don't recommend something that has flashing lights and beeps and all this good stuff.
Well, you know, Frank, Zach Bagans doesn't look like he reads much books, and everybody wants to be Zach Bagans. You know what I mean? Right. So they want to.
But he has written 2, though. He wrote 2.
Yeah.
Well, his name is on too.
Yeah, one of them was, I just got this Class A EVP that says.
Right.
Oh yeah. Needless to say, I have some very negative things. I mean, I have positive things to say about Zach Bagans, but I want that damn museum to get open so I can find out if my teddy bear is in there. I'm still pissed about that bear disappearing from the Sally house, and it's been what, 3 years now?
Oh wow.
So
well, just before the show, when I opened the door to the bathroom, it creaked really loudly, and I'm pretty sure that in the creaking, I heard "Kill Zach"
oh really?
like 3 times.
It was a demon.
Okay, back to being a little serious here. Another thing that I tell these people when they go out in their, I agree with the book, because that's the first thing that I tell everybody: read a book. Second thing is if you're going to go out with another person for paranormal investigating, validate their paranormal experience. Don't just take their word for it that they've been out there for years. Because recently we had an experience with somebody who had told somebody else that they had been out for years investigating, and everything they had done had been a public paranormal investigation that was done by somebody else. They just paid to go. That doesn't count. I'm sorry, that doesn't count. That's just, I think you guys probably agree.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it when you meet somebody who tells you they've been investigating for 20 years and then I've been investigating for 25 years, and they're like 30 years old.
Right,
No,
right. They've been investigating 25 years and they're 12.
Right.
Right.
I was doing it in my past life.
Right, right.
So I've got 75 years experience because I'm living in my second past life now. And I did this way back then in the San Francisco fire. Okay.
Yep.
Guys, I got to check out. I got to be on another network in 3 minutes.
Well, brother, we appreciate you coming in.
Man, absolutely, Roger, man. You keep in touch with me, and wishing you the best of luck on your other show. And bring me on there sometime. I'd love to keep up this conversation. Denise?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We need to do a round table. We need to get on there. All of us get together on there and do a round table again here soon.
Well, you picked the right people tonight, brother, because, between Denise and Frank and yourself and me and, the people in the chat room, I mean, we got good conversation here, and it's a relief.
And, I have these to my chat room people, because they are awesome. And, they're very loyal people. They always come and support me, and all the people that come on the show, they come and support them. And I think this is great.
That's what makes it worth it, brother.
Exactly. And that's why I love
Frank,
doing this, because you got people that stand behind you and they cheer you on.
Right. Right. So, folks, everybody have a wonderful night. Roger, thanks again, brother, and much luck to everything that you do, my man.
Appreciate it. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
Have a great one.
All right, we're down 2.
Right. But yeah, that no, we're talking about these people, So something else is when they look at a team, they need to understand there's a very real distinction between paranormal investigation and paranormal research, and those two are not interchangeable. I know many people who do paranormal investigations, but I don't know a lot of people who truly do paranormal research. So that's something to
agree with that. And the thing about it is, see, the reason you and I would work so well together is because you are the real scientific guy, and I'm more like Cat Hobson. So, I think we would have a blast.
Well, I stopped doing my weekly radio show here recently, just back in February, and the reason I stopped doing that was, well, there were 2 main reasons behind it. One is, I'm trying to shift more toward going to video in the future. But 2, I wanted to take a break to do 2 things, and that was to do more research for myself, to brush up, reread some books that I haven't read in a few years, do some research that I've had in mind but I haven't been able to do, and hopefully present some new ideas. And 2, I've had people that are wanting to do some paranormal and some educational things, and hopefully that now I'll be able to share what that research and put that out there to help some other people. So, so that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Now, see, when I get down there, and we talked a little bit earlier, like I said, you have to hook me up with a couple of days when you'll be able to do some stuff. So, remember we talked about some of this tech stuff that we was going to work on and everything, and I still like check into that, but I'm going to be going down hopefully in June to meet Mr. Frank for the first time in person and hang out, do investigating, and as he likes to put it, be those shenanigans.
He's pretty good at shenanigans.
Well,
we went down for shenanigans.
I've been known to do a little shenanigans myself, so I think that's going to work out good.
Right. I actually pride myself in the shenanigans that I'm able to pull.
The word, but
there are two things that are almost certain on any investigation you go on with me. There's going to be shenanigans, and if I get still somewhere, I'm probably going to doze off.
Right.
I've been told that they were going to present me with an award as being the first person on the team to doze off in the Phyllis Gags murder house during the investigation.
Well, we've had those people fall asleep when, in the Sally house while we're having activity. I mean, I can see it when we're not having any, but while we are, it's like, what in the hell are you doing?
Well, they teased me about that for several days, and it had started quietening down a little bit. They're starting to kind of forget it was getting old. Until the very next weekend, we did a mansion in Oklahoma, and lo and behold, during an EVP session, who falls asleep?
You gotta love how.
Were you snoring?
That was what they tease me all the time. They say was that EVP a growl or was that Frank snoring?
Well, I'm happy to say you couldn't go to sleep the day we were together because it was too damn hot at the furnace. But by the time we got up to Gatlinburg, it was only 57 degrees that day. That was very strange. For what was it, 100 degrees or so at the furnace?
Yeah, every bit of 95.
Oh, and we head up to Gatlinburg, and it's half of that, and cold as hell. But yeah,
very devoted teammates, and I will tell you, Frank was talking about falling asleep. We were on an investigation one night, and I sat down in this recliner chair, and they recorded me sawing logs. And played it back for me. You gotta love the loyalty of these people,
Hey, they didn't put lipstick on you or makeup?
No.
Ice water, so you're doing good.
I actually did have that. I passed out one time at a bar, and some friends of mine decided to paint me up.
Well, that was in a bar. That's a whole different. You're free game in a bar. So.
But yeah, I went to sleep in that recliner, and they recorded me sawing logs. And I was snoring so loud the house was shaking. And they recorded it and played it back for me. Like, we just thought you'd like to hear what you sound like when you're sleeping on an investigation. But you gotta love it. There's fun things that happens on investigations. It ain't always got to be dead serious,
No. The minute that it's dead serious, completely, the whole investigation's dead serious, it's time to get out.
Yep.
It's not fun anymore.
You're done by then,
Well, that's like me. Everybody knows how serious I am about my science, how much I love that. But at the same time, the way I look at it is I'm serious about my research, but I'm serious about making it fun.
Yeah. You love it, though.
There's no reason why you can't, do everything properly and make it quite enjoyable. I see some of these teams that are out there that,
and we do. We always have our wind down fun time. You have to.
Oh yeah, and I've seen some teams out there that the way they do things that it's like they forget that, you know, these are just people volunteering their time and, you know, trying to learn something, trying to help some people. And, you know, some of them are downright militant, and it's like, no, you can't be that way. Yes, you need to be, you need to conduct yourself to a certain level of professionalism, but
Yeah, yeah.
you need to relax a little bit too. Okay?
Well, I would just have to tell them I am professional. I'm the professional shenanigans man.
Right. That is definitely our department there.
You know, and the same investigation that they recorded me snoozing in the chair, I caught a guy that was telling us something that happened in his shop when we were all out there. Well, actually, it was me and my son-in-law was out there. And he claimed that the spirit of his grandfather, or his not his grandfather, but his wife's grandfather, that's the place we were at, would throw things in the shop. And I caught him out of the corner of my eye throwing a bolt across the room and hitting a metal piece in the other side of the room. And after that, the investigation was over for me. You know, I mean, I was done at that point. I'm like, really? You're going to do this? You know? And so, yeah, I'm like, you know, well, and I played it off, you know, like, what was that? You know, because I knew what happened. And he said, oh, that was probably him throwing something across the room because he don't want us in here, you know. And
Right.
I'm doing my best not to bust out laughing because I done caught him dead to right. And I kind of elbowed my son-in-law. I said, we need to go back and check in the house and see how they're doing. Because I had to go. And that's when I kind of told him, and I said, I think, you know, we've about, you know, done all we can do. We need to pack up.
Oh yeah.
That'll ruin it for you right there, you know.
Oh yeah. You don't fake it. You know, that's the one thing you can't do. You just can't fake it.
Well, this was the client faking it.
I know, that's what I mean. They can't fake. I mean, if you fake it, you're at the point to where you're sitting there going, well, this is crap.
It's like
Why do I want to be here?
Hunter's episode where the guy had the speakers up in the ceiling and they found, you know, I'm like, no, you know, you're done then. You know, you don't care because you're wasting your time.
I remember when that happened on Ghost Hunters, and I mean, I was pissed myself. Ron wanted to go beat the shit out of the guys. You know, these guys came all the way to, I think it's California, to investigate, and there's this projector behind the mirror, and it's like, that's bullshit.
And they had something rigged up to make the wine glasses shake and all that stuff. You know, this guy went to a lot of trouble to rig everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know,
That's bull.
What, for 5 minutes of fame? What, are you trying to draw customers in? What, you know?
well, and that is why it is so important for people who investigate to educate themselves before they get out there and do it. Because if you haven't trained yourself what to look for, how to spot this stuff, and you go in thinking that everything is paranormal, then you're going to get fooled by those cases, and
you
they
know,
come up.
if you do things properly, which, you know, is you debunk everything.
Yeah.
You know, and what you can't debunk, then that's your evidence. So if you have a case where, you know, there's a row of wine glasses that shake or whatever, I'm going to be looking for a string somewhere or something. You know,
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be looking for something rigged up to make this happen.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's like a case. I think I've talked about this one with you before, Roger. That 3 different teams had been there and investigated. Nobody could make nobody could solve it. They had done house blessings. They had tried all this exorcisms. Nothing was working. Nothing was making it better. We went in and found out after investigating that the root of the problem was the fish aquarium. Was
an
an infrasound frequency that was very near the 18.98 hertz, or
Mhm.
the fear frequency, and it was affecting them. When we unplugged the fish aquarium, everything was fine. But 3 different teams before us have been in there and completely missed that. Didn't even think to check it.
Well,
We've had
And that
the
just
same
goes to
issue.
show you.
a lot of people don't think about the low frequency stuff causing any problems. And not everybody even has heard of that. So, naturally some of them are going to go in there looking for other things, and they're not ever even going to look in that direction.
Right. But now think about this. Out of all of those others, I mean, they had escalated this case to bring in house blessings, to do exorcisms, to do all of this crazy stuff, when all it was a fish aquarium. But the problem was nobody, they had all went in there assuming that nobody had educated themselves on the environmental effects that can manipulate our perception enough to understand and know what to look for.
Right.
And so all these people needed was a new pump on their tank.
Yeah.
No, they didn't even need a new one. All they needed was a 50-cent piece of felt. I literally had I had a piece of Velcro, the soft side of some Velcro that I stuck on there, and that solved it.
We had the same issue with squirrels. People saying that they were having scratching in their walls, and it was squirrels in their attic. That they heard buzzing, and there was a beehive in their wall. And so this is things that, if you don't know anything, I mean, you should be able to tell a beehive and squirrels. I'm sorry, but everybody should be able to tell if there's a beehive or squirrels or birds in your attic.
We had a person say they had like 7 portals in a 10-foot bedroom, and they claimed that there was scratching in the wall in the closet. And Frank knows who Dusty is. Okay, he said he opened the door, and first thing he seen was a mouse hole at the bottom, about 2-inch mouse hole. And he said, "Your head stuck it out through the hole right there." He said, "That's what's scratching in your wall. I found your demon right here."
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other thing that really always pisses me off is the people go in there and everything's a demon. Everything's a demon. Yeah. And so the next team that goes in there has to go in and prove it's not a demon before they can do anything.
Well, and you have somebody go in, and this is one of the things that irritates me about some people, and I'm not one to bash other teams or anything like that. I try to work with everybody. But it irritates me when someone will go into a person's house, and to me, my job is to calm them down.
Right.
Okay, and then find out what's going on and make it where they can feel at ease in their house. You got somebody that goes in there, first thing they say, "Oh, you got 5 demons running around in here." What's that going to do? They're going to go through the roof then. And even if somebody else comes in there and explains to them there's no demons in here, they're not going to believe you.
No, not until you prove it.
Yeah, so that makes the job 3 times as hard as it should be.
Right, because at that point, not only is it the fact that there's nothing there like that, but then it becomes, they get offended because they're like, "Oh, well, they don't believe me. They think I'm crazy."
Right.
And it just adds.
And the other team did believe me because they told me it was a demon, and they're trying to help me. I got to call them back.
Right.
And the thing is with you guys, how often is it a demon?
I've never.
I mean, let's be honest. How many
I've never
times?
run across one, to be honest with you.
Right, that's me at 18 years. I'm still waiting.
And I've been doing this since about 2003. I've never run into one. Now my team leader has run into one. He said it basically picked him up and threw him 15 foot out in the front yard. So, I'm not saying there aren't any. I'm just saying I've never run into one.
I just don't think it's as common as a lot of teams want us to believe. I had one person tell me that the only cases they deal with are demons. And I'm like, well, then you're not out there very often.
You're not doing much because there's not.
I mean, how, I mean, are demons more prevalent in certain areas? You know, maybe in LA, maybe there's a lot more demons in LA than there is
Well,
in
I can
Kansas.
actually see that. Probably half of them were ex-gang members that were murdered.
Well, the problem with it is, you know, a demon is a completely religious based or a religion based entity, you know, and some religions exist, some religions they don't, and you know, you talk to one person, ghosts don't exist. Everything that seems to be a ghost is a demon. You talk to another person, there are no such thing, but there are ghosts. You talk to another person, if you get angry, it's because a demon made you get angry. I mean, and there are so many things. You know, if you have a drink of alcohol, then it's a demon influencing you to drink.
Well, that demon's influencing me right now. I want some rum right now.
It's the evil.
Well, you have the ones that claim that there's no such things as ghosts. Everything is a demon.
We also have groups out there that says there are no ghosts, that they're all UFOs. They're all aliens.
Right,
I mean,
they're all aliens.
And
what that one guy on the ancient aliens, I'm not saying they're aliens, but they're aliens, you know.
and again, who are we to say that it is the way we're saying it is? You know, just because I'm saying that I believe in spirits doesn't mean I'm not saying I don't believe in aliens.
Right.
But I do believe that they could act the same. That I might see something that I might think is a spirit and it's really an alien, but how will I know? I doubt I'm going to know, to be honest.
Well, unless they have some kind of cloaking device that they wear on them that makes them look like a spirit, I believe if it was an alien, you'd be able to see them. You know, like, oh, you're in here making everybody think you're a ghost, you know?
Well, but the thing is, you know, the aliens aren't all grays.
Right.
They're not all reptilian. They're not all humanoid. You know, we've got all these different things, and maybe what we see is something different. But, you know, like I said, we don't know. We're not going to know for sure until we're the one doing the poking and the prodding on that individual.
On that subject, let me introduce this. I have this philosophy that we were originally pure energy, and we will go back to that at some point. Okay, so what if out there is a pure energy form that could come here, and how would you know? You wouldn't know that it wasn't a spirit. It's just pure energy, right? Which we say spirits are made of energy. Therefore, are we dealing with a spirit, or are we dealing with a pure energy form? Nobody really would know that either.
Nope.
You know,
and that was the theory that was presented to me on Monday night when I was on Vegas Supernatural. It was after the show, of course. It was presented to us, and it's like, it made me start thinking about the fact that that's what we say, is that it's pure energy, and so that we all evolved from the same energy, and we're going to go back to being that energy. And it made sense. It was the very first time that this alien thing made sense to me. Out of all the times I've heard it, this is the first time that when this person was telling me about it, that it actually made sense. She was able to put it in a perspective that almost anybody could understand.
Right.
Okay. How about if you know, science and parapsychology being the two areas that I love the most. But let me throw a curveball at both of you. Both of you believe in mediums, ESP, things like that, correct? So, what if what you're seeing that people, or what we're seeing that people believe are spirits, are actually perhaps an alien being, but not in a physical form, but rather communicating through psychometry or telepathy.
Well,
Mhm.
how about this aspect? What if
or vice versa.
if a person can astral project? Okay. When you astral project, how would you appear to somebody if you astral projected to their house or whatever? Would you be like a spirit?
Or solid.
Or yes, or well, you're not going to be solid because it's not your real body. But I'm just
Right.
saying, are you going to look solid? Or are you going to look like a spirit, like a see-through, like a hazy figure? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to tell you the times that I did it, nobody ever saw me. I saw everything that was going on, but they never saw me.
So you can be there, and you can manipulate things, but they're not going to see you. So they're going to say, "Oh, I got a ghost in my house. There's a spirit here. They're moving things around. They're doing this or doing that." If a person could do this, well, number one, Frank, shenanigans. Think of all the fun we could have.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then, you know, if a person wanted to do this, could they not project themselves into this quote unquote haunted location and manipulate things and fool people into thinking that there was actually a spirit there when there wasn't?
Well, technically, it would be a spirit because it would be
Well,
your
yeah,
spirit.
but I'm saying not the one they thought it was.
Right. Not a dead one.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of interesting aspects when you delve into this stuff because there's so many possibilities.
Well, the reason I throw that out there is because the one biggest thing I see in the paranormal is so many people have tunnel vision. You say paranormal, and most of them automatically think ghosts, hauntings, haunted places, things like that. When really it's so much more. What causes a haunting? I mean, you've got this huge spectrum, but we're only studying dead people.
Yeah.
Why are we only studying this much when there's this much of it we can look at?
Exactly. And that's why people come away half the time not realizing what they're actually seeing or what they actually think they captured is not what it actually is.
Right. When we drop the ghost, hauntings, spooky, mumbo jumbo, all that stuff, and start looking seriously at consciousness, how does our consciousness interact with the environment? How does the environment interact with our consciousness? How do we interact with each other? And what about the cases where that consciousness seems to survive bodily death?
When you
astral project, like that,
what you're doing, you're projecting your consciousness to another place.
When you start looking at that and you start thinking of, when you start considering the psychology, how our thoughts can affect our environment, how our feelings can affect how we experience things, how we remember them, and you start to consider this, and you see that merging of psychology and consciousness and the environment all coming together, then instead of just looking at dead people hauntings, you see this whole spectrum, and this huge picture starts to come together. And of course, then that opens up like a billion more questions, and you get many more questions and answers.
See,
that's how you know you're on the right path.
What we're talking about right now is when I tell you that anybody that stands up to you and says, "I'm a professional," professional what?
Right.
Nobody knows everything. Yeah, I mean, there's so much,
Right. I'd say if they said expert, that'd be one thing. Professional could be just the way you carry yourself.
Well, that's what I mean.
So you got to look at it from, I mean, because I've had people go, "Oh, I'm a professional ghost hunter." So, okay, well, that's good that you're professional at it, but at the ghost hunting part, tell me where you're qualified to be considered a ghost hunter.
Well, see, that's where I like to separate those names.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that tells me they're a professional ghost hunter, I say you're a professional thrill seeker. If they say they're a professional investigator, then I might buy that one.
Yeah. I mean, and how many teams are out there that's what they're looking to be, is just to be a ghost hunter on TV?
Right.
and be that professional ghost hunter when only 1% of 0.1% is actually out there being on TV. Even though they're offering more shows to people out there and everything else, yeah, you got a TV show on or a show on YouTube. Well, you know what? I know a lot of people who have shows on YouTube that are maybe this much professional at the most, and I'm not going to say Tim Wood, but doing live sci-fi things and coming out with entertainment and saying it's ghost hunting.
Exactly.
Back to where we started in the beginning about shows. Yeah, we can sit there and talk about all these shows all day long, but the minute that they've got something that's faked on their show, we're done.
Well, see, that's the whole thing when it comes to these shows. Anytime you involve a television network in something, I don't put 100% faith in it. I don't care how professional they act on these shows. The network has the last word. When it hits the cutting floor, all the good stuff's going to get cut.
Oh, I know all that.
Well, one way to that I explain that quite often is, even with reality shows, has anyone ever seen a reality show that actually resembled reality?
That's what I was talking about earlier.
That there's not something scripted.
Right. The way that situations would actually play out in real everyday life. And you notice there are none of them. There is no such thing as reality TV unless you've got a DVR system set up. That's your reality TV. Otherwise, it's scripted, and don't buy into it.
Yeah, unless you're catching people cooking their dinner and washing their laundry and doing all the damn shit we hate to do every damn day, if there's no reality involved. And it's like, you guys probably got that email about the show that they wanted to do about paranormal investigators investigating naked.
Yeah.
I was like, kiss my ass. I'll bear it for that. Okay, come on. Kiss it on, But no, that was one of the things that made me go, what in the hell are they trying to do? Are we that big of a skeptic I don't know. Are we that big of a spectacle in the paranormal field that we have to go out there and do it naked?
Well, two things about that. One, the network says, yeah, man, we'll get ratings through the roof. And two, you'll have some idiot that says, if I get naked, they'll give me a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I will say there is one paranormal or one paranormal investigation TV show that I actually like.
Which one?
It's
Ghost Brothers?
No, it's oh shoot, what's that?
Is it Dead Files?
International Ghost Investigators on HBO.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
No,
complete parody, complete spoof. There is nothing about it. Makes fun, and I'm telling you, when you watch it, you'll crack up because they go out. It is a complete spoof, but it will remind you of someone you've investigated with at some point in time, and you're like, that is the only paranormal investigation.
Are they like a Weird Al version of Ghost Hunters?
Basically.
Have you guys seen Ghosts in the Hood?
No.
I haven't seen that.
It's funny. They actually go into places that nobody. In Compton. Okay, they're in LA. They're in gang areas, and they go in and they investigate. One of the places they investigated was a drive-through funeral home. Okay, these are not places that are on your everyday paranormal list. And they go in and they actually help the people and tell them what's going on.
Wait, back up. A drive-through what?
Funeral home. It's in a gang area.
What do they do? Drive up to the window, they stick a coffin in your trunk, and you go.
No.
This is a real thing.
It has a bulletproof window because it's in a gang area, gang wars. And so they would put the coffin up by the window so everybody could see, and that way they would just drive through. And this was one way to keep people from getting hurt and the drive-by shootings and things like that. So, but check it out. I mean, if nothing else, you will find out that they are still selling velour sweatsuits. That was the one thing that I did notice about this, is velour sweatsuits are still sold in LA. And but it's funny, but you're also seeing that they're trying to help people, and they're not going to these popular locations that everybody else is going to.
Well, that's something I always enjoyed, was going to the places that are off the beaten path.
Exactly.
Being the
Not
first
famous or being haunted or anything like that.
Well, I will tell you, I went to this lovely hotel in Vegas, not known for being haunted. This was called Hotel Galaxy. Okay. It was way out there. It's behind the Luxor on the other side of the highway, $39 a night. Okay. That tells you something. Okay. I look up at the ceiling, and there's a spot in the ceiling that's kind of weird, and all the water is to the back of the hotel. Okay. Keep that in mind. It's a normal motel type setup where all the water's in one place. Front door doesn't shut. Okay. It shuts, but you have to lock everything up, and they could just push right in if they really wanted to into your room. I have a spirit that comes to me in this long red dress. It's a V-neck. I don't know if it's a dress or a nightgown. I don't know if it's red or if it's blood. The bottom is all black, and she's telling me that her name is Gigi or Gina or something like that, and that she died in the room upstairs. Okay, this place is not known to be haunted. So I've been researching to find out who this Gigi is, to find out when she died there. She told me she died about 30 years ago. So now I've been trying to research to find out who she is, because of the fact that we went to this hotel going, it's not haunted, it's nothing big deal. And all night long, I got this woman that's talking to me about her death upstairs. But there's this big spot in the floor above us that looks like something had soaked through. So what do I believe? All I know is that she talked to me. So now it's got to be, okay, who is she? So, but you look up Vegas and haunted, you're going to come across 10,000 things that are haunted.
Right.
And I don't know if I'm ever going to find out who this woman is, but I'm trying to search it. I found out that Dean Martin Boulevard used to be Industrial Boulevard.
Well, don't these motels, don't they have log books that you have to sign in or whatever? Or
the thing is this was this place has changed names 5 or 6 times. The people who bought this just bought it like a year ago, and they've been redoing it. So it's very retro. They're trying to make it a retro motel.
so what they change hands and they toss all the records out, or?
So far, I don't know anything other than I didn't even tell them that I had this experience. I just wanted to get the hell out and get to another hotel. Not because of the spirit, but because the door wouldn't close, right? And it wasn't convenient to getting to the Strip or my daughter. To me, those are the things that are more important. So.
Some of the least likely places that you think would be haunted actually are.
Yeah.
And I'm one of these people that believes spirits can travel. Now, are some like frozen into a certain area? Yeah, maybe, but I think that some of them can just travel, and you could be anywhere and one could come through. And that's just like EVPs. You wouldn't believe where you can get EVPs at. That you wouldn't think, you would get anything.
Yeah. When you guys do EVPs, what kind of equipment do you use to get them? I mean, what type of recorder do you use?
Actually last night, me and a teammate went to a cemetery, in a very old cemetery that I found, and I was running my Tascam, and I was running a actual tape recorder. And hold on just a second, I'll show it to you.
My personal preference is
this one.
Oh yeah, perfect.
And I have also my little. I have this one that I use. And my belief is that the old tape recorders like that produce a white noise effect when they're recording. And EVPs that you get on those, a lot of times are better than you'll pick up on a digital.
Yeah.
For that simple fact. But I ran both of them, and I haven't had a chance to go through each one of them yet. But yeah, I like to use the old recorders, like tape recorders, like that.
The reason I ask is that recently there was something about the Panasonic that people were getting all these EVPs on, and that they were saying that on this one Panasonic that it would actually pick up your background noise, and people would think that it was an EVP,
yeah,
or it would echo. Have you guys had any experience with that?
I haven't, but what I typically use is I stick to a linear PCM recorder, something solid state, or to wave only format religiously. That I typically run something in the Tascam line, and I've always had really good luck with that. But especially going with solid state, because it just seems to process the signal better. You don't get all the digital manipulation, the distortions that you would with going with some of your other devices. And when you start adding, like if you're recording MP3, you're getting compression and distortion, and a lot of people don't realize that MP3 is that was never meant to be an actual recording frequency. That's just meant to save file format so you fit more music on more songs on your hard drive.
Replay.
That format's actually outdated, to be honest. And when the way it works is it saves space by cutting out what is deemed as unnecessary sound frequencies. The EVP that you hear may be one of those unnecessary frequencies that it cuts out in the compression. So you may hear it with your own ears, but it never gets recorded because the compression deletes it.
Well, Mr. Frank here, he's the one that convinced me that I needed a Tascam, so I got one. And I love that thing. I really do.
Yeah.
And I run it all the time, and sometimes I'll use the other ones with them. And I look at it this way too: if you're running a tape recorder and a digital, you've got two different sources that they can use, and sometimes they'll pick up on one where they won't pick up on the others. Like you mentioned earlier, Denise, about this, maybe the frequency being different or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you may get one on your tape recorder if you don't pick up on the digital, or vice versa.
It also makes you wonder, like on the cassette tapes, are they imprinting on that as opposed to actually speaking?
Right, exactly.
Because I mean, I've heard stories about people saying that they got imprints on reel to reel back in the day.
Right.
And nobody ever heard the sound, but then it was imprinted on there and then they could hear it. So is that true? Is that not true? It's a question to...
Yeah, that's one of them technical things, Frank. You better answer that.
Well, I believe that is very, very possible. And I don't believe it's just possible. Here's something else. Some of these EVPs, how many of them are actually spirits? And how many of them are us?
Mm-hmm.
I have ran experiments on investigations in places that were reported to be home. And I have heard my own voice and other living people's voices who are in proximity come across ghost boxes and things like that when doing these things. So that's a whole different show, but I'm just going to say that this goes back to what I was mentioning about studying consciousness versus dead people.
Yes. I was going to ask you, um, on digital recorders, and she's talking about it being imprinted. Okay, now the same way I mentioned, if you astral project it to somebody's house, and they're not going to see you, but you can manipulate stuff. Could you project your consciousness, your inner voice onto that tape somehow?
I absolutely believe you could.
You know, and somebody would think, oh yeah, I got a spirit EVP, but it's actually not. You know,
I'm working with a client right now that she's had some poltergeistic activity happening in her house. Every time she gets upset, she's been dealing with anxiety for a long time. Really had, kind of fits the textbook criteria for a poltergeist case. And every time that she gets really upset, it'll be blown out. Now,
you know, I mean, that's something to think about. What if a person could project their, it's kind of like telepathy, you know what I'm saying? But where they're imprinting it on you, if they know you're running a tape recorder and they have the capacity to project like this, could they project onto that tape and fool you?
well, here's the thing: we all have that capacity. What very few of us have, however, is the focus to control it.
Right,
You're
right.
going back to Carrie and Matilda.
Okay.
Right.
That's what you're going back to. Carrie and Matilda. I mean, I know you guys probably don't watch kids' movies, but Matilda could manipulate her environment. And so did Carrie. We all know how that turned out. But does that happen in real life? Can it happen? And that sounds like that's what might be happening with your lady there, Frank, that she's manipulating her environment without knowing it.
That's where, and this is the way I look at poltergeist activity. They say that, and it usually happens with a female of the age where the hormones start actually kicking in, and
sometimes that's kind of overstated.
Puberty, you know what I'm saying? That age area.
It's actually a lot of these sites that you look at will tell you that it's almost all, that it's like almost always females or almost always teenagers, but in all of the academic research that's been done into it, it's actually about 60% female, 40% male, and there's not really that much of a age specification on it.
Well, I would think that it wouldn't matter what your age was if you got those raging hormones.
Well, it's not so much about that as it is the stress, the anxiety. A lot of people like.
Well, that's kind of what I was trying to get to. Really emotional, distraught, pent up stuff that they don't realize they're letting out.
Menopause. Right. See, menopause will do it.
Right. Well, that's like you take middle-aged guy, got adolescent kids, goes through a divorce, gets a bankruptcy, loses a job, whatever, or has loses family member, or several events, maybe a chain reaction of events, and you start seeing that, and then you get these bursts. Well, basically, what the poltergeist activity is our mind's safety release valve, if you will.
Right.
And it because your mind's presented with one of two choices: either release some pressure or go into meltdown. And but then they'll go, they'll notice strange things are happening because that residual energy lingers after they discharge it. And so they call someone. Well, say they get someone that's very religious or one of these things, everything is demonic or something like that. Well, all of a sudden, now not only are they telling them that that's a demon in the house that's causing all this stuff and all that, but that's what caused them to lose their job. It's what caused them to get the divorce. That's what caused everything that's wrong in their life. And all it does is worsen the situation, because in a poltergeist situation, the only single way you will effectively resolve a poltergeist situation is to resolve the environment and eliminate the cause of the stress. Counseling, correcting the environment, correcting the situation, getting them into a healthy living and a healthy living arrangement and control.
You either have to fix the problem that they're having that's causing the stress, or you have to remove them from the property, which wherever they go is going to take up in that property. So you're not really fixing anything. You're just moving it to another location. You know, so you basically got to fix what's wrong with them.
Absolutely.
And they have to want that too.
Exactly. If they don't, then you ain't going to. That's like I say about if you go in and bless a house for somebody and they don't have any faith in your religion or that religion, it's not going to do any good.
Nope.
You know,
That's why I think they should do it themselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the way that I've been doing it lately, and it's been working great.
you guys, believe it or not, we have blasted through 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun, though.
And it's been a blast. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, it has. Yes, it
Well,
has.
hopefully we're sending you out with a bang.
Yes, ma'am, you sure did. And that's what I was hoping for. I wanted to take it out with a bang, and I think I had the best people to do it.
Well, hey, I appreciate you, the honor you having me on for the last episode of this show, and I look forward to catching you on Paranormal Graveyard.
And we are going to have to do this so that we can continue this lovely conversation, because I was getting into this. We need to get together again and do this on the Paranormal Graveyard. We'll have to have a round table. We'll have to get everybody back in here. And I would love to get Rocky's opinions on a lot of the stuff we were talking about after he left.
Right. And next time I'll be at home, so I won't have so much technical difficulty connecting. Right now, I'm at the Comfort Suites, and my little coffee cup has been empty, and
oh my God, that's treacherous right there.
Right. Well, and hotel Wi-Fi. I mean, this place is a wonderful place to stay. I recommend it to everyone, but their Wi-Fi is not the fastest. So actually, that was part of the reason I was having so much trouble connecting earlier. I had to turn on my hotspot on my phone and drag out the laptop.
What hotel are you staying at?
I'm at the Comfort Suites.
What city?
In Pell City.
Okay.
Now
have fun, be safe.
You're in the Comfort Suites Hotel in the town where you live.
Yeah, they've got some work going on at the house, so these are alternative.
Why would somebody stay in a hotel in the town where they lived unless they were wanting to get away from somebody that was at their house?
We do that. We go stay at hotels here in town all the time just to get the hell away from our own house. It makes for a nice little staycation.
Yeah, it's like taking a vacation and never leaving the farm.
Yep.
As a guy said on the phone.
So yeah, knock on wood, everything's going to be finished up by Thursday, and I'll be back in the comfort of home. So keep your fingers crossed for me on that one. But
yeah,
that was fun.
I want to get all y'all back in here, and Christina, of course, is we co-host that show together, so she will be there. She had to leave early. She was about to fall asleep setting up, so she had to depart. But she is the co-host on that show with me, and so it'll basically be everybody that we had tonight. And I want to re-bring up some of the stuff that us three have talked about, with Rocci and Christina, because I think I'd love to get their opinions on some of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
More opinion, the better. It's like when you're researching stuff, the more people you can talk to, the better.
Oh, yeah.
So it all works out. But you guys have been a blast. I think we did a really good job for the farewell show, and I appreciate everybody. All you lovely people in the chat room over there, we appreciate you guys so much, and ladies. And hopefully we'll see everybody on the 10th. We're doing I had to cancel the other night because of the storms. We'll be doing the Paranormal Graveyard episode on the 10th. And my brain is slipping on me. I've got his name wrote down here somewhere. But I'll find it. Anyway, catching up on that, okay? But normally we do it on Wednesday night, same time as we did here, same time, same bat channel. But thanks a lot, you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks everybody over there who was watching and listening, but may have not been in the chat room, and that happens a lot. We have several people that listen, but they don't chat. So we appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody. And with that, we're going to fare thee well, and I'm going to close this thing off. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a great night.